Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. So this is, I guess we're kind of rounding out my coverage of Prey until, of course, they announced the sequel, which I reckon is an inevitability due to how well it did. But Predator series producer John Davies praises director Dan Trachtenberg for his work on Prey. So pretty big. You know, they've been involved. John Davies has been involved with essentially, and off the top of my head, basically every single film which has featured a Predator. I think they were even involved with AVP, if I remember rightly. But of course, 2022 does mark the 35th anniversary of Predator. Just an incredible film. Starred Arnold Schwarzenegger, directed by John McTiernan. And the start of the franchise that continues this year with the prequel installment Prey. So it was a pretty big year, actually, for Predator as a franchise. And off the back end of that, so beginning and up to now, former executive John Davies produced every entry in the franchise which wasn't set in stone until Arnold saw the script and got involved. So Davies recalled to Variety that the script was shoved under somebody's door at Fox. So this is quite an interesting story, by the way. The Thomas brothers snuck the script onto Fox lot and under somebody's door, he said. We got there on Monday and there was this script. Like, what? How? I mean, that's madness. But it is cool. It is cool. Now, he would move out of his comfy studio office to personally produce it for the opportunity to work with Schwarzenegger. So he was a really good friend of mine, he says, and we were always trying to figure out how we could work together. The duo was basically doing that. And so I'm the executive on this movie at Fox, and what happens is I become a producer. I auditioned to become a producer, he continued. And Arnold says, well, you're becoming a producer now. You need to actually produce this movie and come to the jungle with me. Let's go make this. Not something you turn down, really, I'm sure, from Arnold Schwarzenegger. So go to the jungle they did. Schwarzenegger's private chef as well, to make things worthwhile. We'd be in the jungle and his chef would make like smoked salmon on toast. Davis added, I'm thinking, this is crazy cool. I should do this the rest of my life. And as much of a vacation as it seemed, it was still hot, and they were, you know, exercising, sweat. You know, it was pretty rough, to be fair. So you hang out with all these people in the jungle all day, and you're making this movie, and you're doing these cool action scenes, and you're figuring out how to crash a helicopter, and you're sweating with all these guys. Basically, I mean, they were on location. It was bloody hot. So it was work and almost left unfinished until leadership at Fox changed hands. We ran out of money, so we didn't shoot the end, Davis remembered. And then a new head of the studio, Leonard Goldberg, came in and he saw 3/4 of the movie and said, okay, it's pretty good. Why don't you guys just go finish it? And I mean, there was so much drama surrounding the first movie anyway. Like a lot of drama. I mean, even, you know, having the likes of Jean-Claude Van Damme in that weird bug suit. It was just a bit of a shit show, really. McTiernan would enter the picture at this point, and Davis knew he was right for the job. And I met John McTiernan somehow. I saw one movie he had done before, and I said, this is the guy to direct this movie. It must have been this unique approach, especially to casting, that won Davis over. McTiernan never read any actors. His process was, I can tell in a conversation. So Davis recalled, that conversation would enlighten him to whether or not the actor was right for the movie. And at the end of the day, he had two governors in the movie, Schwarzenegger and Jesse Ventura. So what really cemented the movie in Davis's opinion was the title monster, the Yautja to some, which is actually its official name, just as an FYI, that he puts on a pedestal with Hollywood's golden age of horror icons. It is. The Predator is a legendary figure. The alien is an iconic creature, a comic monster if you will. Monster movies get made again and again and again and again and again. Look how many Dracula movies have been made, or The Wolfman. I mean, you can go through these iconic monsters or creatures. And he thinks Fox established two of the greatest creatures in film history. The Predator and the Xenomorph. And you know what? I'll agree with him. For all of Fox's failings, they, yeah, had a part to play in establishing two of the most iconic monsters in cinema history. The most original. Anyway. Because, of course, like Dracula and Universal's monsters are not actually, well, some of them are original, some of them aren't, some of them from books and things, so a bit different. Once you establish them, people know them, understand the mythology of them, and want to see them again in different situations. And I think both Alien and Predator on the 20th Century Fox side are their most mythic monsters. I'd say dynamic as well, which is what I was about to say. These are 20th Century Fox's most mythic creatures. Before the two mythic monsters squared off in 2004, a Predator sequel followed, but without McTiernan and Schwarzenegger. The Thomas brothers wrote that also, and Stephen Hopkins directed it. It was a really wonderful script, Davis thought. I really like Predator 2, by the way. The latter bowed out, however, over money. Arnold was going to play the lead role. The studio was negotiating with him, and the whole deal fell apart over 250 grand. And it was obvious. Joe Roth, who was the head of the studio at the time, said, I won't go past this number. And Arnold wanted this other number, Davis said. I'd say understandably, because the first Predator movie would have done well, you know. So Danny Glover stepped in for what was the last Predator solo movie for a while, in contrast with today, when a new entry in the series is churned out every few years, for better or worse. 9 times out of 10, that's actually because the studio has sold the rights, so they do it as a rights retainer. I mean, ergo, you know, the new Resident Evil Netflix series, that was just a rights retainer, it had to be. It was during the making of 2018's The Predator that Prey director Dan Trachtenberg approached Davis with his idea of a period piece, but under the condition it would be a secret. So that, yeah and no. So Dan came to me, and we went to the studio, and it was in the middle of making the other movie, and we decided, alright, let's do this, but we're going to make it a top secret project. So the whole idea was to keep this top secret. So that's actually kind of conflicting. Like, we had heard reports before that it was actually before that film, or just around the same time, not in the middle of it. So in terms of them in the middle of making it, I would say that's probably before they were shooting, just as an FYI, because of the other reports. He added that the other movie would come out, and then we would announce that we were ready right away to make this. Now, it took a lot longer than right away, because different things happened. Fox got sold, it moved over to Disney, and I think it's great. Disney understood the potential for this franchise. Davis gave Prey a glowing review, saying, Dan did a terrific job. This movie is his imagination. This movie was his idea. People just need a fresh reinterpretation of this franchise from time to time, and if they have it, it will survive 100 years. You know what, though? His fresh interpretation isn't a fresh interpretation. It's literally going back to basics. But yeah, still right nonetheless. So he sees the places the next Predator movie can go. He says, well, maybe there's an origin story, right? Maybe there's another Aliens vs. Predator story in a different situation. And maybe there's a new modern day version. And maybe there's something somewhere in between. I think this character can show up throughout history. Yes. Literally. Just tell the story throughout history, please. But nice to hear some backstory of the origin of Predator and kind of how it came to be. Like, there's a lot of this stuff we already knew anyway. But it's still fun, nonetheless. So I thought I'd bring you this video. I find this stuff to be incredibly interesting. So let me know what you think down below. Have a fantastic Tuesday now. I was going to say Monday, but have a fantastic Tuesday. Take care.